I will introduce you.
Okay. Yeah, Bijan, it's live.
Okay, then. Good evening to all. The chairperson of the session, paper presenter, all the participants. I welcome you all again to the fourth session of second day of the ICTiBLANEI-1 2021. So this is the first session of syntax, which we name as syntax 1. The session will be chaired by Dr. Monali Longmalai. Dr. Monali is an assistant professor at the Department of Linguistics, Assam University, Silchar, and she is the secretary of ICTiBLANEI also. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Monali to kindly carry on the session, which is on the syntax 1. Over to you, Monali.
Thank you, Dr. Bijan, for introducing me and the session. For this session, for syntax 1, we have 5 papers. So let me read out the names of the presenters and the titles of their presentations. So the first presenters are Riju Bailung and Pooja Das from Tezpur University, and they will be presenting on numeral system of Burman Thar, followed by Yukali Jimo from FLU Shillong, and she will be presenting on the usage of spatial demonstratives in Sumi Naga. Then we have Padmavati Achum from University of Delhi, and she will be presenting on the ambiguity of the root, tense, and aspect in Meiteilon. And then Nuveta Kusho from Nagaland University on tense and aspect in Chokri. Finally, we have the presenters, Dr. Mimi K. Ezung and Vikruzo Keho, Nagaland University, and they'll be presenting on reciprocals in Chokri, a case of VA-VO distinction. So I'd like to announce that the session is open now, and I'd like to request our first presenters, Riju and Pooja, to open their PPT and start their presentation.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you're audible.
Good evening, everyone. Me, along with my co-mate Riju Bailung, will present a paper on the topic numeral system of Burman Thar. As we know that the northeast region of India is abundant in heritage, culture, language, and tribes which live together for centuries. Northeast of India is comprised of 8 states. Assam is the major state of the region in terms of land. It consists of Barak Valley and Brahmaputra Valley. Northeast India is host to 3 major language families, namely Indo-European, Austroasiatic, and Tibeto-Burman. In Northeast India, Burman Kachari are an indigenous Assamese community and a subsection of the Dimasa people. The speakers of this language are spread diffusely in Assam and in places such as Meghalaya, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh.
Pooja, sorry to interrupt. Your screen, are you sharing, are you moving to the next slide?
No, ma'am. Ma'am, something came like this meeting has been recorded. What to do, ma'am? Shall I click got it?
Yeah, you go to the next slide. Yeah. We can't see the slides. Yeah. No, it's on the cover slide. You can, yeah, we can see it now. Yeah. Okay.
After 2002 Amendment Act, Burman Kacharis in Assam are referred to as Burman. Its population comprises of 24. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
It is considered as highly endangered language because only a small part of this population speaks the language, but it has a script of its own. When we come to the family tree, Burman tree belongs to the Boro-Garo subgroup of Tibeto-Burman, branch of Sino-Tibetan language family. Burman Thar, where Thar means language. A qualitative method is used to analyze this data. The collection of primary data is from different informants of various groups, both educated and uneducated ones from different genders. The interviewing method was basically used in this paper along with questionnaires and a recording of data. The main objectives of this paper is to investigate the number system of Burman-Thar and on what scope numeral system contrast in the verbal communication. When we talk about number system, we know that numbers, we can say that they plays a very important role in our lives as they present numeric quantity. Numerical ability is an essential facet of cognitive sense of human intelligence. Numeric quality can be expressed in relation to cardinal numbers, ordinal numbers, fractionals, multiplicatives, approximatives, collectives, and distributives. In case of cardinal numbers, they are used as a part of speech for counts and as well as finite state of natural numbers. When we come to basic cardinals, it's a part of a cardinal number where we can see the numbers which are not formed by combination of other numbers. The class of cardinals usually ranges from 0 to 10, where we can see in Burman, 1 is said as Goisa, Guinea, 2, Githam, 3, Brui, 4. In Burman, the prefixation sa morpheme is dominant from 6 to 10, where we can see from 6 from till 5 it was like zakoi, but from 6 the prefixation of sa, which is sea 6, sini 7, set 8, sogu 9, sikhang 10 can be observed. When we talk about compound cardinals, they are usually the combination of simple cardinals, where it can be divided into two types: additive compound numerals and multiplicative compound numerals. When we come to additive compound numerals, they are formed by adding base numerals from to decade. In Burman, the morpheme khang is being dropped from the form sikhang, which is 10. Si Goisa, 10 plus 1, which is 11. Si Gini, 10 plus 2 is 12. Si Githam, 10 plus 3 is 13. Si Brui, 10 plus 4, 14. Adding occurs when higher numeral usually precedes the lower numerals. For instance, 10 plus 1. It also noticed that prefix C is added to the base numerals: Si Goisa, Si Gini, Si Githam, Si Brui. Similarly, in the formation from 21 to 22, which is Gini Si Goisa, and 29, Gini Si Sugu. Again, in 31, Tham Si Goisa to 39, Tham Si Sugu. And so on, they follow the same pattern of adding the higher numeral to the lower numeral. But however, there is an exception in the numerals. Here, Brui Goisa, which is 41, Brugin 42, and after Bruisi, Githam 43, they retain the same pattern, like Bruisi 40, Brui Goisa, which is 40 plus 1, 41, Brui Guinea, which is 40 plus 2, 42, Brui Githam, 40 plus 3, 43, Bruisi Brui, which is 44. In case of multiplicative compounds, they are formed by the multiplication of cardinal numbers to decade. In Burman, multiplicative compound numerals are formed by adding suffix C to the base numerals. This table shows the multiples of 10, where the suffix C is formed by sikhang 10, where khang is been dropped. However, in 30, prefix gi is dropped in the compound form. Sikhang, 10 into 1 is 10. Ginisi, 10 into 2, 20. Thamsi, 10 into 3, 30. Brisi, 10 into 4, 40. And down there's a table of multiplicative table of hundred, thousands, and lakhs, where in Burman, 100, it's said as Rijisa, Hazal, 1,000, Laksa, 1 lakhs. When we come to ordinals, it presents the position or rank in a series. Same as in Burman Thar, the ordinals are formed by the suffixation ni to the cardinal numbers except the word gudi first. Here in this table, we can clearly see that the first is gudi, but from the second, when we see the ginni, githamni, brini, the suffixation of ni can be observed from second, third, fourth, and thus goes on. In case of fractionals, in Burman Thar, the fractions are divided into two, that is monomorphemic fractions and dimorphemic fractions. Both they can be observed. In the monomorphemic fractions, adek, which is half, and bebak, which is full. But in dimorphemic fractions, it is formed by adding banthao in the middle. Here, higher number precedes the lower numerals. Here we can see clearly that the githam, banthao, goisa, which is 1/3, and brui, banthao, goisa, which is 1/4. Multiplicative numerals. Multiplicative numerals, they are basically denoted by suffixing by using samau, that is time, whereas the thrice guna is suffixed is used. Goisa, samau, which is once. This samau also implicates time in their language, or in other languages too. We can see that time denoting thing by using somo. Githam, guna, which is thrice. Brui, guna, which is 4 times. That guna, which is suffixed, is seen after the use of the main word githam, guna, then brui, guna, which is thrice, and which is after thrice and 4 times. In case of approximatives, here we can see the reduplication of the word bogla, boglo, which means approximately of a word. Sikhangne, bogla, boglo, which means approximately 10. Bogla, boglo, githama, approximately 3. Maybe it doesn't have the exact word for that, so they're using this word bogla, boglo. That means which we say in Hindi, like aas-paas kind of thing. So here they are using this reduplication of bogla, boglo at the last. So sikhangne, bogla, boglo, approximately 10. Bogla, boglo, githama, approximately 3. As we know that 3, which is in Burman, is said as githam, but while using in a sentence, they ended by saying they ended by using a, githama. Collectives. In Burman, collectives numerals are denoted by adding zura as a suffix, which denotes a pair of something, or like anything, which is goisa, zura, pair of 1. Sikhang, zura, a pair of 10, where goisa is 1, as we have seen in the previous slides in the cardinal table, that 1 is goisa and 10 is sikhang. So when in case of collectives, that zura is added at the as a suffix. Then in case of indefinite numerals, we can say bakhaniba, some, Bankhal, many, Zikuba, Goisa, which is anyone, Sukwisa, few, Bebakan, all. These are the words which are not different. It is used to use, it denotes some indefinite numerals. So they use Bankhal, Zikuba Goisa, Sukwisa as their communicating, a way of communicating or denoting something. When we come to restrictive numerals, we can see they are formed by adding manga at the initial position of the cardinals, where we can say in this table, manga goisa, where only one. Goisa, again, it means one, and Guinea, two, Githam, three. The only difference we can say is the adding of manga at the initial position, which is manga goisa, only one, manga Guinea, only two, manga Githam, only three. Hence, we can say this: the numerical system in Burman Thar is mainly of decimal system, as observed from the cardinal numbers. The base numbers are free forms, whereas compound cardinals are more complex than the ordinals. It is observed that in compound cardinals, there is an exception in the formation of Bruigoisa, which is 41, Bruigini, which is 42. Number 40 retain its base form from Brui.
Are you able to hear him, Vijan?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, Pooja, the speaker.
Pooja, no, Pooja, I can't hear to her. I think.
Yeah, Pooja, we're not able to hear you. Riju, can you continue for Pooja? We can't hear her. Riju, since you're
Yes,
the
ma'am.
co-presenter, yeah. Can you please sum up the conclusion slide?
Yes, ma'am. The conclusions are, but ma'am, I am not able to share my screen.
Yeah, no
Oh.
problem, no problem. We have seen
Okay,
the
yes.
data already.
Okay then. From the conclusion, we can conclude that the numeral system in Burman Thar is mainly of decimal system. As observed from the cardinal numbers, the base number are free from, whereas compound cardinals are more complex than the ordinals. It is also observed that in compound cardinal, there is an exception in the formation from 41 to 42, as we can see then the Bruigoisa and Bruigini, whereas the other retain the base form. The ordinal numerals goody first do not take any affixes. affixes. However, the fractional numbers are formed by adding bantao in the middle of the base numerals. Multiplicative numerals are formed by adding suffix guna to the base numerals, but goisa, samau once is an exception as it takes samau as a suffix, which is used for basically the time. Approximative have reduplication form of bogola, bogolo, can either come in front or back of the base numerals. Collective and restrictive numerals have jura as their affix and manga as a prefix respectively. And thank you.
Thank you, Riju, for thank you, Riju, for the backup help for your co-presenter, and thank you, Pooja, also.
Sorry, ma'am. My
yeah,
net
no problem.
went wrong.
No problem.
Sorry.
You have a good coordination, both of you, so it's fine. So the it's open for discussion. If there are any questions, you can unmute and ask questions. You can raise hand, and you can also leave questions in the chat box. Okay, let me just ask one question to you. Not question, actually, suggestion. You have given the 100, the term for 100 as Rajasha. I think it would be good if you can, segment them, hyphenate and find the roots and the affixes, because the 100 that has given is 100, but it's 101. So Raja is 100, and you have the Shah or She or that morpheme, which is 1. So it's 101. But it does not happen for 1000. It's a loan word, right? It's Hajar. And for, I think, more than that, it's lakh. So, but 100 is basically, it's 101, the one that you have given. So 101 is a 100. It's the same thing. So that is how, you will miss informations if you don't gloss them, because you're only giving the word gloss, right? And another thing that I wanted to say is that since we have, me and Debjani also have the same, so you add, coach as the alternate term or Burman as the alternate term in your introduction. Okay. Riju, can you hear me? Pooja?
Yes, ma'am. But could you please repeat the second question that you were saying?
Oh, no. It's not a question.
Suggestion?
It's just a suggestion to you. Yeah, that since we have already, found in our analysis that it is an alternate name for the same language, coach. So you can mention it in your introduction.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, ma'am.
Monali, meantime, when
yes,
we
I
are
too.
waiting for other to come, yes.
Yes, I too had a question. Since Monali ma'am yesterday showed that Coach Mandai is the exonym and Burmanthar is the
I said the other way around. I think Burmanthar is the exonym, Coach Mandai is the endonym. I think I said the other way around in Nahari.
Yes, maybe. Actually, I had noted down like that. Actually, I just wanted to ask you if you collected any data from Kuchmandai too, because if these two are the same language, then there might be some similarities between these two languages too, between the numeral system of these languages too. So,
are you asking me or Pooja?
No, Pooja and Riju, ma'am.
Okay.
I just want to ask them if they have collected any data from Kuchmandai too, because as you have, as Ma'am Monali showed yesterday, that these two languages are the same.
We have collected the data, but that is in a raw form. We haven't analyzed it or anything, but we can show it to you if you want.
No, actually, I just wanted to know if there is any similarity between, are there any similarities between these two languages, between the numeral system of these languages?
We find few similarities, as in Brui, that is 4, and there is also the C suffix as in 10, and further there are more or 2 or 3 more similarities there.
Yeah,
but not entirely, same.
No.
What is the word for 4? You said in Kuchmandai? Brui.
Oh,
and in
Kuchmandai it is Brui, and in Kika and in Burmanthar it is Brui.
Bri and Brui both are used maybe there, yeah. But in case of in case of additive compound, where we have seen that 11 it starts with Sa, right, Moyur? Here but in Burmanthar it starts with C. The additive compound starts with C. So maybe there's a little bit of difference in the initial position, not as a whole, but maybe we can get more by doing some further research, but till then we got this.
Yes, further research is of course needed to conclude. No problem.
Yeah,
thank you.
I will just want to add there. The thing is, you see, you will find very idiolectal variations. Okay, some will pronounce it as Bri, some will pronounce it as Bri, And it more or less sounds almost the same if if you're collecting from the same place. So basically, I think you have to check from as many speakers as possible, and also that they live in a place where it is dominated by the Bodo community. So it is very much possible that there will be code code mixing and having loan words from Bodo as well. But when I have seen the data and when I looked at the 100 words comparing both, 100% they are the same language. There's no difference. That's what I mean. And even the data that you have given so far, there is so much of morphological similarity with Garo. So I think you need to check on the Coach Mandai lexical items also. And even if the variations might be there, it will be just 5 to 10 or 20 words, and that is because the younger generations do not speak this as their mother tongue at all.
Yes, ma'am.
Basically it's just the older generation, right? So
Yes,
the older
ma'am.
generations are speaking, that means the language is dying, and basically their interpretation will be very different. So you have to document the language before the older speakers die, and I think there's a lot of social linguistic context happening there. So
Yes.
I think you have to be careful with this. Yeah.
Yes.
I think there is a question from Professor Caroline Marak, madam. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me the time. I just want to comment that, like just now, like Monali Langmalai has said, just like you have said, there's a great deal of similarity. I'll just think of, see, even accounting numerals, Sagani, Tambri, Bunga, Loksini, and there's a great similarity with Boro also. And then I just, I was just joined the fact end, so I could find only this one, Goisa Zora, but we would say Jorasa. Then Sikkim Zora, Jora chicken, we would say Jora chicken, and Zora would become the prefix. It will become the prefix. It will be something like classifier. And then here also, Manga Goisa, Manga Gini, Manga Gitam. Okay, like this, only one. So Gisa-san or Rongsa-san, Saksa-san, like that. If it is a person, it will be Saksa-san. Saksa is one person. Then Sakani, that will be two persons, three people, Sakatam, like this. Okay, depending on the object, and the shape of the object, and then of course whether it's a human being or an animal, whatever. So it's something like this. It's very Gisa-san. Gegini-san, Gegitam-san, something like this. But the point made by Monali, is very relevant here, because if the younger generation do not speak, in that case, I think it is very important to retrieve whatever materials is available. Then, of course, we can all put them together. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Further research is needed to be done, I guess.
Thank you, Caroline ma'am, for the question. And there is a question in the chat box from Professor Dhiren Singha, as in how to form the higher numerals, that is 30, 40, 60, 80, etc. So is it decimal or is it vigesimal?
We have found only the decimal system here. We haven't further research about the decimal system, so we can't claim anything about that. And for number building, number building as in general or in Burman Thar?
It's in this language, right? The one that you have presented, Burman. 30, 40, 60, and 80.
Monali, just quick question. Just one question.
Okay.
Yeah, regarding information. This puja is a very nice presentation, but what I have observed in many TB languages, say all round numbers from 30 to 90 are multiplicative decimal construction, but the formation of 30 is different from say 40 and above. Say 30 is expressed as 3 into 10, and conversely, you notice 40 and above is something like 10 into 4 is equal to 40. So what exactly happening in Burman Thar? Just I want to know.
In Burman Thar, we can say that the 30 is Thamse, and in 30 from 31, 32, 33 onwards, they use it as Thamse Goisa, where again Goisa means one, and Thamse Gini, where two, Gini means two. So it's kind of repeating the initials after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, till 9, till 39. We can see here. We have got that list.
So what about
40.
40 is Bruisi. Bruisi.
Bruisi. Brui is
Bruisi. Brui is 4
uh,
and C,
And C is-
40 Bruisi. Then from
Okay.
41 is Bruisi, Brui Goisa, sorry, Brui Goisa. Then from
Okay.
42, Brui Guinea. Then again, but there's the difference between 43, 44 and 45. Then there's a difference can be noticed that from 43 it's written as Bruisi Githam. C is added at the last of Brui. From 43 Bruisi Githam, 44 Bruisi Brui.
So you have suggestions in the chat box. You can have a look by Mayur, and also additions have been given by Caroline Madam. You can have a look at those.
Yes.
Are there any more questions? Because we have very less time and I think hardly a minute.
Yeah, let me take this opportunity in that case. Regarding this Burman, Burman Thar, we have been discussing the same thing yesterday also. This is another variety of the so-called Dimasa, am I right? Puja and the, who is that?
No.
No, this is
Exactly,
different.
we can't say that. Exactly, we can't say that because nobody has done a research on that. Maybe for that.
Puja, I am a native speaker of Dimasa. It is not
So
Dimasa.
that means,
Yes.
no, I was confused about this term Burman because yesterday in Dibajyoti presentation, Burman, this is an endonym or exonym, something was there for the Dimasa. That's why it just clicked to my mind whether Burman Thar is a variety of the Dimasa, like Hawar or Hachao. In that analogy, can we consider like that, or it's a different language?
So we can't
It's a
say
different
anything
language.
until
I think
Yeah.
Yes, Monali ma'am yesterday said that there are
yesterday
two
Mayur
Burmans
asked-
actually.
yes.
So this
One is
Burman
from-
Thar is nothing to do with the Burman, that is like in the name of Tibeto-Burman. So from that Burman, I perceive that he is a Dimasa speaker. Am I right?
Yes, Brother Vijan.
Okay, from that analogy, I was trying to reconnect whether Burman Thar by name Burman, is it a variety of the Dimasa? That was my query. Anyway, so
I don't think it is a variety
Vijan,
of
let
the
me answer.
Burman.
okay.
Okay. Burman is a caste actually, and basically they are just trying to maintain the royal aristocracy in the name of the king. That's just it, whether it's Koch or Dimasa. So which is why I said, since Burman is a misleading term, because people are confused whether it is Dimasa or whether it is another community or whether it is Koch. So it would be better to use, Koch simply, or Koch Thar or Mandai Thar, because the term Burman is a political term for ST. The language is Koch. So I think you need to relook into the terminology. Please do not mix, when we write our language, Dimasa, we don't write Kachari language. It is Hill Kachari in ST, but it is Dimasa as a community and as a language. So I
But
think
the
Puja
people
and
of the
Viju, you have to be
community,
clear.
they-
Just because the native speaker.
Native speakers claim
I
that
got your
they are
point,
from the
but
Kacharis, but they don't claim that they are from the Koch community. So
Excuse
there
me,
is
They
may I
won't
come in?
claim,
something misleading, I guess.
Excuse me, can I come?
they won't claim it because they won't claim it because they have taken ST status. You get my point? There is this OBC and ST thing going on.
Excuse me,
Okay.
can I?
I think we can continue the discussion later on.
Hello.
Dibajyoti wants to say something. I mean, we're running short of time. There's a next speaker.
Okay, can I say,
Yeah,
say something?
please. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Burman is a Hindu element. It is not an Bodogaro element. So it is shared by many Hindu peoples. In Bengali also, there is Burman. So it's nothing related to the Dimasa or something. Yeah, it is now it's a part of the heritage of Dimasa, but it's have Indo-Aryan roots. So that's what I want to say.
That is also what
Am I
I'm
clear?
saying. Like linguistically, it is Koch. Politically, ethnopolitically, it is Burman. But Burman doesn't mean that they're speaking a different language. So you have to get it clear whether you're going to identify it as a language or as a political group. Okay, we will stop.
Monali, just I can I take just 20 seconds. Okay, actually, I just wanted to add. Actually, like you yesterday, you discussed about Burmans in Udalguri. So you know like so many Boro people are also writing like Saikia and then Deka, who are from Udalguri. Okay, and not
Yes.
only Boro,
Yes.
even Rava are they are also using the Indo-Aryan surnames. Okay, that is also another actually thing that we can discuss through the same angle. Okay, but this is I think not completely related to language, dialect, or any mother tongue. This is related to some other thing. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we will continue with the next speaker. And I think it's Yukali Jimo. Please share your screen.
Is it visible?
Yes, please make it full screen.
Audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Hello? Oh, yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My topic today is on the usage of spatial demonstrated system in Naga. Before I begin, let me just give a brief and quick sandwich background of Srinagar. The Srinagar is one of the major Naga tribes in Nagaland, northeast of India. Srinagar is the language of the community with an estimated like 50,000 during 2011 census. Srinagar inhabits the region of Zinebotan district as well as the major cities of Kohima and Dimapur. In addition,
Sorry to
there are
interrupt, Yukali. Sorry, are you using
yes.
headphone or are you talking from the?
Yes. No, sir, I'm using headphone, wireless headphone.
Oh yeah, that's why we are not. It's not coming clearly. Can you adjust the mic maybe from the system mic? If you speak, I think that will be more clear. Headphone, yeah, wireless.
So actually, I don't have the wire earpiece, so I'm just using this wire.
Okay, then please carry on.
Should I remove the?
Yeah.
Should I disconnect it?
Yeah, better you disconnect. Your system microphone will give more quality of your audio, good quality.
Yeah, you can just try removing and seeing as in how it works.
You just disconnect your
I hope it won't take
wireless.
much time.
I think you are not audible.
Yeah, it's not audible. Better to put your headphone.
Sorry, can you hear? Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah, anyway, please carry on. It's okay.
All right. Okay. Um, uh, okay, the Sumi Naga is one of the major Naga tribes in Northeast India. Sumi Naga is a language of the community with an estimated of 350,000 during 2011 census. Sumi Naga inhabits the region of Znebodo district as well as the major districts, the major cities of Kohima and Dimapur. In addition, there are a handful of Sumi villages in Assam near the towns of Margarita and Tinsukia district. The district derives its name from the Sumi dialect, that is Zneboto, which means Znebo refers to the flowering shrub which bears white leaves, and To also is a local dialect of Sumi meaning hilltop. Uh, the language classification. Tibeto-Burman is sub-branch of Sino-Tibetan language family, and we see that according to Berlin, we classified Sumi Naga in the Kuki-Chin Naga group under Angami pottery, which further consists of Rengma, Keza, Mao, Sumi, and Chokri. So this is the genetic classification of Sumi Naga. Methodology. This present study, though I'm still continuing with this topic, is though I'm still continuing with my PhD research, and this topic is one of them. I'm still trying to explore and learn more. The process of learning and exploring is still going on. Though for this present study, the methodology that I used is demographic sample from the native speaker of the dialects from Shakrivi village and Tilakha village, that is from Dimapur, and Khikepu village is the Sataka region of Znebodo district. In addition, Sumi MIL teachers from Sitsa Academy, which is also the Sumi Academy, and few board members from Sumi Literature Board. The data also were collected randomly from the native speakers of the language, which includes informants, speakers of various age groups, male and female, monolinguals and bilingual, speakers with formal education and speakers without it. So this study includes data collected on the basis of word lists, sentence lists, and face-to-face interviews, phone interviews. On the primary and secondary source data also includes oral traditional textbooks, dictionaries, Izata, which is also Sumi newspaper, articles, journals, and for cross-references. This topic was solely selected because we find that demonstratives play a very heavy role on spatial deixis. The different suffixes that is attached with these prefixes are the usages that tend to identify its entity and the relative distance in relation to the speaker's position. So this paper at large intend to explore and describe the basic expressions or usages of spatial demonstrative used by Sumi speakers in their day-to-day communication. The word deixis is borrowed from the Greek verb pronounced as deictic, meaning pointing or indicating. According to Lyons 1983, deixis shows a relationship between language and context, which is reflected in the structure of language itself. It is further concerned with the way language encodes grammatical features according to the context of utterances and speech event, also concerning ways in which the interpretation of utterance depends on that context of what is being uttered. A quick introduction of spatial deixis as well. So spatial deixis is usually concerned with the encoding of spatial location, which is relative to that of the speaker or participant location in the particular speech event. So language makes a distinction between proximal, that is close to speaker, and distal, non-proximal or away from speaker, and sometimes close to addressee as well. So the distinction are encoded in demonstrative, like in English, that is this and that for proximal, and deictic adverbs of place such as English, here and there. So a spatial deictic expression is clearly a form of references, as we see, that is tied to the speaker's context, denoting the most basic distinction between expressions. So these are the three important concepts that I'll be talking throughout this paper presentation. The first is speaker, the person fulfilling the action of speaking in a particular spatial temporal context. Addressee, referring to the person being talked or being addressed. Deictic center, or the location of the speaker, is referring refers to the particular deictic center. So demonstrative in Sumi functions in several ways depending on context, situation, and the space around its deictic center. Sumi has demonstrative based on proximal, medial, and distant. The prefix he, this, t, that, and who, that are marked for proximity, medial, and distant. The different suffixes attached with these prefixes are usages that tend to identify its entity and relative distance in relation to the speaker's position. Shweda 1980 also says that in the case of demonstrative, the plural morpheme is not directly attached to it, but an anti-morpha is attached in between the demonstrative root and plural morpheme. So these anti-morph in the following examples that I'll be showing to you is what I'll be using according to Shweta. So the example in relation to the proximity of the speaker, addressee, and remote, proximity of the speaker, addressee are hereby given below. So Sumi has demonstrative, like already said, he, ti, and who, namely, as given in the following example, for he that is proximal near to the speaker, we have he, ye, iu, kaku. So you have this as he, here you have the topic marker, he first person singular, who, my, and kaku book. So you as for the plural marker, the we have, as Shrida already mentioned, the pal, we have the empty morph, and then the demonstrative marker gets the plural marker is being marked by the demonstrative he. So you have he, paho, this, ye, topic marker, eu, first person singular, my, kaku. So we have these are my books. For medial, that is near to the addressee but far from speaker. So we have TA. So T is that, ye is topic marker, IU, EU, first person singular, my, kaku, book. So we have that is my book. Similarly, for those as well, we have the plural marker been marked by the demonstrative, that is those, ye, you, kaku. So you have those are my books. Again, similarly for who as well, distal, we have the similar kind of process going on here. So who we have, that is for that is my book. Similarly for plural as well, the demonstrative marker is getting marked with the plural form here. So which comes, those are my books. So this is a very diagrammatic representations of the notion of distance away from the center. So you have he, t, and who, proximal, medial, and distal. In the following, we have spatial adverbs. Sumi marks the location within its entity of the speech events. So we have here yes, ta, hile, ani. So the pen here we have le, which means locative, giving the location marker, giving the location, exact location. Ani is a progressive non-past tense marker here. So we have the pen is here. Similarly, for the pen is there as well. We can see that there, T is taking the marker for le, meaning locative, giving a specific entity or specifying a place where the pen is being located or within that entity of speech event within a speaker and addressee. Similarly, for the book is over there as well, we see that who is taking the word for over there on the other side. So it can be visible and non-visibility as well. It depends upon the context of the speakers, between the speaker and the addressee. Similarly, for there, who as well, we can see that an additional long vowel lengthening has been taking place, where as the space or as the space between the speaker and the addressee keeps getting far, we can see that this vowel lengthening is happening here. So kaku, hule, ani. So we can see that the vowel lengthening here takes the demonstrative there, and similarly for le we have locative marker, which means the book is over there. And demonstrative adjective here, the word here, this place right here, is combined with demonstrative adjective and creates allocative adverbs of place. So it is attached to suffix le and another suffix he to denote or specify the exact location of an object.
So in the following examples, we have hu lehi, yekibe, sho kapu ho ye o kya. Means we have hu le, which means distal, far. We have another proximity suffix marker here, he, which specifies the exact location where the books or where the particular place has been located. So in the following examples, though we have here, there, and these, that, we did not see any suffix marker taking place. However, in demonstrative and when demonstrative and adjective comes together, we see that to specify an exact entity where the place has been located, where a particular thing has been located, we see that an extra suffix he has been added within a particular sentence. In the following example as well, we have delay he, which means that train over there. However, we have he is a proximal for this. We see the suffix he marker has been added to specify that exact place. So this is the figure where I've specified the common general. So we can say hile ani, or it is here, or it's there, or the book is there, the book is here. So in Sumi, where we have hile, we can say that it's here, but it can be anywhere here, though may not be exact place. Though it's here, it may not be that exact place, but it's still within that particular place where the speaker the speaker is located, or the speaker is there. On the other place, when you say hile he, we find that the he proximity specified an exact place.
Yukali, you have 2 minutes. Yeah.
All right. So in the following demonstrative adverbs of place, we also find that lao, he lao, find it includes visible and non-visibility. That is also it can be within the specific area, or it can be far from what speaker and addressee. So these are all the examples of adverbs of place. So let me just go back to the conclusion then. Demonstrative is to me functions in several ways depending on context, situation, and the space around its dialectic center. To me, is demonstrative based on proximal, distance, and remote. However, here one thing that I want to add is there, though many have specified that Sumi as demonstrative, proximal, medial, and distant, we also have a remote, which adding for another far, remote, far from both speaker and addressee. So we can say, or we can argue that Sumi has 4 demonstrative, which is proximal, medial, distant, and remote.
Samir, sorry to interrupt. Samir, I think you're drawing something from your phone. Can you please erase it? Samir,
shall I just continue?
Samir, somebody is drawing from your phone. Maybe your son. We're not able to see the screen.
Yeah. Manali, I think, yeah, Bijan, you can call him, and yeah, because maybe the phone is with his son.
Maybe it's.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like that.
But I think we don't have any option to erase it from our end. Yeah, Luca, you just continue.
There's no option in the screen because it's from the mobile screen.
So shall I just continue then?
Yeah, Yukali, please continue.
Okay. So spatial adverbs. So spatial adverbs or spatial deixis in Sumi marks the location or an exact place within its entity of the spatial of the speech events, which means he, lay, he, like you already mentioned. There is a 3-way approximate medial distant distinction in the usage of deictic locatives formed by postposing lehi to the demonstrative. So unlike English, Sumi has formed the specified. Sumi has unlike English, Sumi has formed the specified demonstrative adverbs of place within and far from its from. I have to check for my phone. So unlike English, Sumi has formed the demonstrative They specify demonstrative adverbs of place within and far from its deictic center, which further includes visible and non-visibility, which I already mentioned that is from the suffix lao, hilau, tilau, so it can what include visible and non-visibility. It is further interpreted when both the speaker and the addressee are at different location and when the object is not visible, but there's a contextual understanding between them, so that the conversation is not very vague between the speaker as well as addressee. Hilau is said by the speaker when it's moving towards the said by the speaker when it's moving towards the speaker as well. So within the particular location, it is visible. But when an object is at another place or another station, when it's supposed to reach at the speaker location, and however it's out of reach or it's not visible, still then we can say that lao over there marks the location of a particular marks the location of an entity moving towards the location of the speaker. Lastly, in Sumi, when an NP has both demonstrative and a noun, the demonstrative take the suffix marker and the plural marker as in asuboti poko. So you have the po taking the demonstrative taking the marker of po. However, if you take the first position of prenominal hat of prenominal hat, we can see that the nouns take the plural marker and not the demonstrative. Yeah, so this is the end of my presentation. This is
Are there any questions? Like we have, I think, 6 minutes.
Just Monali, I have a couple of questions, but I will ask only one. Monali?
Yes, sir.
Just T. Luca, T is demonstrative root or not? Just I want to know.
sorry,
T.
sir.
Just
T.
TJ, no? TJ, yeah, T, yeah. T is a
Yeah.
demonstrative root or what do you gloss T, you know? Just I want to see in the slides, you know, just go to the slide. That
Yeah.
T.
Yeah, T is a demonstrative marker for that. Yeah, it's as I've written here, but because of this drawing, it's not quite visible. Yeah, it's as T is for medial, that, but it's far from speaker but near to addressee.
Okay. But this T is postposed by the locative marker, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Yukali, this are these visible? These demonstratives when you talk about this T and then that the other one was who, right?
Yes.
So when you say T, is it visible or is it beyond the visibility of the speaker?
When you talk about T as a root, we can say we cannot just say T like that, but then that's the reason why I mentioned that Sumi has usages that further attached with suffixes in order to prove that location within that particular within the particular entity within the addressee as well as speaker. So suffix markers
Yeah.
can say.
So my question is who visible to the speaker when he or she demonstrates like it's that train over there?
Yeah.
Instead of
Yes.
who
It's
is it still visible?
Yes, it's visible
Okay.
because near to the speaker, far from speaker though, but then it's a medial marker T, so it's both visible to the speaker and addressee.
And who also the distal one? who?
Yeah. But then there is this specific marker law where it's not visible. But then it does depends upon the particular context as well. So
Okay.
who, it can be visible, but when we add the suffix lao, it may not be visible anymore. But if you say hu pao, so it can be visible, but it's very far, it's remote. So it depends on the suffix marker actually to denote, to specify.
Yeah. There's a question in the chat box. Changte ma'am, you can unmute and you can ask the same thing.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why you call these adverbs, you know, because actually this feature is quite common in Tibeto-Burman languages. And, you know, if you compare it to English, it looks strange, but it's really not that unusual in Tibeto-Burman languages. So you might want to pursue that a little further. There's quite a few languages that have this feature where you have like a demonstrative before the head and then one after the head, and the one after often takes case, and depending on the grammar, you get different interpretations. What I'm saying is I wouldn't call them adverbs, you know, if I was going to analyze it, because they're very close to the, you know, they're actually, you know, part of the, you know, part of the noun phrase. So I think it's not like they're, you know, they're quite closely attached to it. So especially with the case markers. I would just suggest that you look further at other Tibeto-Burman languages that have this. I think there was a volume that came out, Himalayan linguistics, that did with spatials in Tibeto-Burman languages that just came out, I think, last year.
All right, ma'am.
Yeah, so if you look at the journal Himalayan Linguistics, you know, there's some nice papers there, and you find them even in China, some of the Tibeto-Burman languages. Yeah, if you compare it to English, it gets confusing. But if you look at the syntax and you compare it to other related languages, then it's you know, makes a lot of sense. That's just my suggestion.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, my general comment is when you be looking at Tibeto-Burman languages, you know, especially as students, the only reference you have is English, and these languages are nothing like English. So look at what the syntax tells you. Where's the noun? What comes with the nouns? What comes with the verbs? And then describe it. You don't have to worry so much with the theory at first. You know, understand the syntax, where things come, you know, where the positions are, and then, you know, and then look at it from a theoretical point later. But you really need to look at the language for what it is, because you know, there's a lot of information in morphology that tells you what's going on. So I just encourage people to pay attention to the morphology, and if English doesn't help you, just forget English. Just say, okay, here's a locative case marker. This marks agent. This marks, you know, patient. You know, whatever. So yeah, this is a really nice data. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for the comments and suggestions. Are there any comments or questions? We may take just one last question, and then if not, then we can move on to the next speaker. Okay, no question. Then thank you very much, Yukali. It was a very wonderful presentation. So we move on to the next speaker, Padmavati Achom, and she'll be presenting on the ambiguity of the root tense and aspect in Meitei-Loan. You can start sharing your screen, Padmavati. Yeah.
Okay. So can you see the screen? I think it's fine.
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Yeah. So my topic is on ambiguity of the root the in Meitei loan, and this is part of my thesis. So it's very specific. So here is outline. It's very specific. So I'll give you the introduction, the ambiguity, and the analysis. So Meitei loan, there are different types of expressing modality in Meitei loan. But as regards to roots, there are these three roots, ya, da, and ngam. And ya gives the epistemic and also the genetic, which gives the interpretation of possibility, and da gives the notion of necessity and can be used in both epistemic and genetic, while ngam is used for ability. So we know that unlike English, we don't have any auxiliary verb or model verb. So here I would say that these three are the model roots in Meitei loan, because we don't have proper complete verb or models. So these are the roots that express model in Meitei loan. So here mainly I'm going to focus only on the, so because it gives an ambiguity interpretation. And this the I'm going to explain in the rest of the slide how it gives ambiguity, and I will be discussing this with the analysis of lexicalist view and also the DM and the exoskeletal model. So this is the sentence where I find ambiguity. It's very specific, and this sentence, this ambiguity arises only when I was working for a workshop in JNU regarding Karwa Chauth. So the topic was Karwa Chauth. So only on that moment I could find out this ambiguity. So my explanation is on Karwa Chauth. The context is on Karwa Chauth. So here the sentence is Maha Gari Manungda Tumbatai. So here I have a two interpretation. So that's why I'm saying there is ambiguity in the, because we have one meaning one which gives a jointic interpretation, and a simple verb here which gives a declarative sentence. So by uttering just a sentence in number one, we have two interpretations. So the meaning, the first meaning is it is necessary for him to sleep inside the vehicle. So because he has no other place to sleep, and I have given the context below in the slide. So the context was that I saw my neighbor coming home late and drunk in the evening of Karwa Chauth. His wife has been fasting since morning without even drinking a drop of water. So the couple had a fight because he was coming late, and since it was late, he has no other place to go, because everyone's celebrating Karwa Chauth and he don't want to disturb them. And at the same time, he don't want to rent a hotel. So, and this may escalate his wife's anger. So he had no other way other than to sleep in his own car. So to sleep in his own car. So he has no other way to sleep other than sleep in his own car. So this is the context where I can enter this sentence one, and it has the ambiguity. So the second interpretation of the sentence one is that I hear the sound of his sleeping inside the vehicle. So which is totally a different sentence from the first sentence which have the jointic interpretation. So you can see, if you see my cursor, so in this first meaning, it has this jointic interpretation that it is necessary for him to sleep inside the vehicle. So, gari manungda tumbatai. And another one is gari manungda tumbatai, which means I hear the sound of his sleeping inside the vehicle. And yeah, some of I think the speaker of Meitei loan may say that there may be tone, But I would say the most when we use, I think there is not much significant uses of tone while we have a conversation, because we never really focus on the tone to either mean is it a geontic meaning or is it a verb here. I'll go to the next slide. But you can see that when the model root takes a finite embedded clause. So here, if the embedded clause takes a finite verb here, then there is no ambiguity, and it has an interpretation of here. So if I utter Maha gari manungda tungme haina tai, so it means I hear that, or since we don't have overt tense marker, so it can be either if tai can be either heard or hear or heard. It can be either present or past, since we don't have three absolute tense in Mitteilon. So I gloss it as I hear that, or I heard that he's sleep or slept inside the vehicle. So you can see, so I will go to the earlier slide. So here, tumba ba is a non-finite. So in this non-finite embedded clause, it has two interpretations, meaning one and meaning two, which gives jointing and declarative. But when you have a finite embedded clause, then it gives only the interpretation of here, and it doesn't give any modality interpretation. So by observing the behavior of the root in 1 and 2, it can be concluded that a model interpretation is possible only if the embedded clause structure is non-finite. However, if the embedded clause is finite, the sentence cannot convey modality as in 2. So the lexicalist view, based on the lexicalist view, we can explain the ambiguity of this root maybe due to the presence of two types of in the lexicon. So it may be one may be verb and another may be modal . So this will simply explain the ambiguity of between the verbal and the modal interpretation. If we just say that there is a homophony root with one express the verb here and another with express geontic, then it just say that it will simply explain that there are two terms. And also we know that modal is a functional category and verb is a lexical category. So this explanation seems to be not enough. So I will discuss further the ambiguity of through the DM or exoskeletal account in the remaining part. So earlier the lexicalist view must explain the ambiguity of so through lexicalist view, we'll just say that the ambiguity is due to the presence of two homonyms of root so which is not quite satisfying. That's why I'm going to explain the ambiguity of this through the DM. So through the DM and exoskeletal analysis. So according to the category-free theory, the traditional lexical categories like noun, verb, or adjective refer to synthetic structure in which root combines with a category-defining functional head, such as noun, verb, or adjectives. So a root cat is categorized as the noun cat as follows. So this root, according to the DM, this root cat doesn't actually specify whether it's a noun or verb, but it only after categorizing by the noun and it is defined that the cat is a noun meaning cat and not other adjectives or verb. So this is from AMBIC 2015. So similarly, in Mitteilon, the root is categorized as verb by the categorizer small v here, and it becomes a root. I apologize, not small b, it's a categorized v. It's different from the syntactic term of small b. This is a categorizer v, which is denoted by the italic small v. So, and this v is different from the double marking of VP in the double VP cell in syntax. This is a categorizer v in DM. So, so the root can be homophony of the verb fall and here. So we have here three interpretation of the. One is model and another model which is a functional, but here this verb is a lexical. So we have two lexical verb which means fall and here by using the word the. So but for this fall and here in my Taylor is similar to the word bank in English, because it can be either river bank or the bank where we deposited our money. So with respect to fall and fear, when we say taba, which can mean fall and also which can mean here, in this case it's similar to the interpretation of bank, where one can be river bank and another is the money depositing bank. So here that's not a problem. So this the will have an indexes the 1 and the 2 for fall and here. However, however, a model is a functional category forming a complex structure, and it cannot be categorized in the similar way as shown in 3 and 4. So, so model is a functional category, but as in the earlier, verb is a lexical category. For any lexical category, the root can be categorized this way. But for a functional category like a past, you can see in 5. So first, the feature past has to be inserted, and after that, suppose play. If I want to say played ed in past, then first we have to insert feature plus past in the DM. So and then after at PF form only. So after inserting the feature bundles, then in the PF form, it will be pronounced as ED. So this is how functional category are categorized different from. So this is the feature of functional category as opposed to or different from lexical category. So in distributed morphology, the vocabulary insertion applies first at the most deeply embedded structural position in a complex head and proceeds outwards from that position. So this process is often referred to as cyclic insertion, and it's MBIC 2015. And the functional morpheme gets its phonological form in the PF component of the grammar through the vocabulary insertion operation. You can see here, first it's the feature bundle, and then later on the PF component of the grammar ED is inserted. So this is for functional category as opposed to the lexical category. So similarly, as in 6, so the model will have a feature model, and that will be later inserted in the PF. So to express the modality the. And if we say there are 2 the, then obviously there's going to be the. But in this sentence, there is only 1 the. Suppose we say there are two the, then based on this structure, we assume that there should be 1 the for verb and another the for model. But that's not so in the sentence, we have only one the, which is ambiguous, and not two the. So, yeah. So based on the exoskeleton model and work from Arfali, Grimstad, Londell, I would consider that the ambiguity of the is due to the movement of the verb stem F and voice and landing on mood head in a non-finite embedded clause as in 9. So earlier in the sentences, we have found that in case of finite embedded clause, then there is no ambiguity between deontic and the declarative sentence. But in case of non-finite embedded clause, there is ambiguity. So putting this analysis based on this exoskeleton model, so you can see that here the embedded clause is -10. So if there is -10, then the root can move upward here, which will give the interpretation of here, the meaning of here, declarative sentence, and it can move further to, and this duck can move further again and end up here, which gives the modality interpretation. That's why in a -10 embedded, so in a -10 embedded clause, the interpretation of the is ambiguous because here it can have one interpretation here and another interpretation here at the position of mood, because it's -10 and it doesn't block the movement of the. And you can see that when the embedded clause is finite, you can see here the tumme haina tai. So the embedded clause is finite. So in this case, there is no ambiguity. The reason is that
Padmavati, you have very less time. Please wind up. You have just 1 minute.
This is the last slide. So yeah. So in the embedded clause, if this +10, as you can see here, if it is +10, then it's going to give a barrier here, and the verb cannot move up to mood phrase. That's why there is no ambiguity. So you can have the interpretation of here and not the model interpretation of necessary. So this is my final analysis how ambiguity is explained in TM and exoskeleton model. So I'll compare here again. So here you can see that it's -10, so it can move because there is no barrier. And here, if the embedded clause is +10, then it makes a barrier, so it can move to modality. That's why it's not ambiguous. Yeah. So these are the things. Thank you.
Thank you, Padmavati. And the room is open for discussion. You can unmute and ask questions.
Yeah, Monali.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question and comment. Yeah. Padmavati, so nice presentation. But what I feel is that you have stick nicely to the theory. That's great. But you know, Manipuri is a tonal language. So you have to look into the tonal structure of the language referring the two tas. I feel that this two ta, one is ta, one is nit, and the one is here. I think so they might have pitch differences. You can check these things nicely, and you know, so the things is all right, because they may have, you know, tonal distinction, this two ta. Please.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first question, and it's very legitimate. Also, it's a very legitimate question to ask because Manipuri is taken as a tonal language. But I would say that it's not that significant as in the Thailand or any other language where you hear the tone and you can differentiate between, like, is it you're saying the verb ta or the root or the mother root ta or fall. So I think even in the earlier section also, people have discussed about tone, how it's vanishing in Himalayan languages like Tibeto-Burman, where it's not very significant. So I think in Mittelon while speaking, we don't really listen to the tone. We look at the context, either in the context or yeah, I'll say on the context for, but for us, we can analyze the context in a synthetic way. That's what I was doing that, and it's fine if there is. I think like if there is tone also, my analysis there will be not much difference in my analysis because if I say ambiguity, so I'm explaining why there is ambiguity, even though by just saying the word why there is ambiguity in our interpretation. So it's I would say that and also when we learn tone, like in Manipuri grammar, you'll say that I think most of the grammarian will accept that there is tone, but we use that only in the dictionary, but not in real conversation or while writing literature. So I think we don't use tone.
Okay, yeah, just a supplement here.
Yeah.
Yes, Professor Dhiren also has given his
just
own.
one more, just a minute. Padmavati, did you record data?
No.
Yeah, that is, you need to record the data. That is very important. Even if you work on syntax, if you work on morphology, you work on phonology, I think so you need to record that. Then only you will know that, okay, what is happening. And you should examine this data, okay, with the help of flags and the spectrogram, okay, then you will know that, okay, how tone plays a significant role in syntax as well. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I'll note that.
Yeah, that's a very important remark that Dhiren sir has given to you. You have to look at the recordings also. Pigeon, you can proceed with your question, then I'll come to Thangni ma'am.
Okay, yeah, this is almost the similar thing that Professor Dhiren already been stated. Yes, this is not only the context that we are able to understand the meaning of the sentence. Okay, here in your M1 and M2, this is because of the tone that we are able to know what the first sentence means and what the second sentence means. Okay, like if he don't have any way out, he has to sleep inside the vehicle. And in the second one that I heard, he sleep inside the vehicle, like tumbatai here, mahagari manunda tumbatai and mahagari manunda tumbatai, right? These two ta, I think this is because of the tone that we are able to give two different meaning. And your interpretation, like it is the context that it gives the meaning. I'm not very much comfortable with this this kind of statement that you are making here. This is not about the dictionary that we need the tone. Okay, in all the contexts we are able to give different meaning of the same sentence. That is because of the tone. Okay, this is my first remark. Let's see in your deontic. Yes, we have lots of Manipuri speakers also. They can give some more supplement on it. So yes, this is my first argument that I can say that this is because of the tone that it can give different meanings, not because of the context. That is my first point that I would like to give here.
Monali, please let me allow a second.
Okay.
Tava.
Yes.
Tava. Then there is also another tava. So tava. Tava. So there are different three tones, distinct three tones are there. One is falling, one is listening to listen, and one is to to make into the condition situation. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one more supplement here. If you want to give that, I heard that he sleep inside the vehicle something, then I think if you insert one more word here after tumba makhol, then I think that sentence will give a complete meaning. Okay, maha gari manung da tumba makhol tai. Yeah, there is one observation.
Yeah, so here that will be very obvious. That's why I want to show you that there is ambiguity there. So I took out the makon. So because I say makon tai, then obviously it means here and not the other interpretation. So I'm explaining that it's fine. Like, even though there is don't here, it's fine. I'm saying is that in this case, when it's non-finite, then by uttering this word, we have two different interpretations. But in a finite sentence, like here, but in a finite sentence, there is no ambiguity. So that's my main focus.
Yeah, syntactically you are true. Okay, syntactically you are true, and that makol, we can drop also. Yeah, it is an incorporated meaning, even though we keep it or we drop it. There's no problem. Yes, I think Temsu has raised. Yes, we should give time to them.
I think first let's ask Changte ma'am because she muted. Then I'll come to Temsu and then Indra Kumar.
Oh, actually, sorry, yeah, I was just wondering if, if you could also consider a lot of verbs, sometimes behave as verbs and also as auxiliaries. And I'm just wondering if this is an instance. That was my first reaction, because if it's an auxiliary, then you can have the ambiguous interpretation. But I don't know enough Manipuri, to see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, that's right. That's what like how the ambiguity comes. That's why I want to avoid all those saying like here.
That was my impression when you show those three examples. For me, it kind of suggested to me that what the verb is has two identities. One is a verb and one is an auxiliary.
And the auxiliary,
So that was my that's what I thought. Yeah, it was a very, very interesting paper. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Temsu, you can ask your question now.
Yeah, thank you. I think that was a very neat analysis in terms of, I think, the theoretical basis. I'm not a speaker of Manipuri, but just listening to the discussion on whether it's ambiguous or not ambiguous, whether tone has a role to play or not. Maybe one thing that you can because I think the paper depends on this question of whether it's ambiguous or not ambiguous. So you could also try a perception test where you do the recording of these two sentences and you make others listen and see what kind of a judgment do they give with regard to what reading did they get. So that's one way of I think arriving at whether they are ambiguous and whether tone plays a role or not. Just a comment there. Thanks.
Yeah, the experiment. So I think the common from all the comments and suggestion, I think one common things I should do is take a recording and then see it. Yeah, I take that. I consider that.
Yeah, I think Indra Kumar wants to ask something. Indra Kumar, you're unmuted. Do you have any question to ask? Please be quick. Okay. Uncle Musil, you want to ask anything more? I saw you unmuting.
No. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Is there any more question? Yes, Indra Kumar, are you saying something? I can hear a very low voice. Yes. Okay. Can the speaker hear you?
Yeah, I have increased the volume.
Can you increase the volume?
Yes, I have increased the volume. Do you hear me?
I think it's quite audible.
Yeah. If it's audible for the speaker, then you go ahead. Yeah, yes, please ask.
Okay. So, Padmavati saying, Dhiren sir has suggested a good point, and also Vizen has pointed out some very valuable point. So as also, I feel like as I'm a speaker of Manipuri, so I feel like your say second ambiguous meaning is not a natural one. I feel like that because you know that Mahagari Manungda Tumbatai. Mahagari Manungda Tumbagi Makhol Tai. If you exclude Makhol, then the line doesn't come out the exact meaning of your second ambiguous meaning. So if you exclude the sound Makhol, then I think the sentence cannot be brought up as an ambiguous by the word ta. So I feel like that because you know that yes, of course, the tone distinction cannot be distinguished very clearly in this sentence. Tai, ta, yes, same sound comes out. I feel like that. But as a native speaker of Manipuri, I feel like that the second ambiguous sentence you are getting here is not a natural one. I feel like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, the natural way of saying will be tumba makontai. I think that everyone will agree to it. Yeah, but I want to pull out that makon because if I pull out that makon, then the two interpretation is there. If I didn't, then there's no ambiguity.
Yes, that is why.
That's why I'm building up all this context and because only yeah.
Yes, please. You cannot directly take out the word makhol so that you can bring up the ambiguous meaning. But the natural way of speech is needed to be searched.
Okay, so can I say that is it but is the sentence one correct to you? Do you find any ungrammaticality here?
Sentence one is fine. Sentence one is fine. Mahagari manungda tumbatai means that necessity is there. Necessity is there due to some condition. Okay, but when we analyze the second ambiguous sentence, you know that there are it seems like they're having some problem as a native speaker. You know that seems like framing the sentence intentionally or deliberately.
Yeah, so we want to put makon. Yeah. Yeah, I can see
also, that. And also, once you put the makhol here, but the sentence doesn't have ambiguity.
Yeah. There is no ambiguity.
Yeah, so instead,
that's what
you need to search another sentence having ambiguity with the word.
That's going to be the hard thing. So that's why.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why
it's very most important. That's why Professor Dhiren sir suggested you data is very important for that. Okay. Anyway,
yeah.
nice presentation.
Yep. Thank you. I think so yeah. So people have suggested that they want to put makon, and if not, then tumbatai, just tumbatai. Like if you feel that there's journal, then they can differentiate. There is ambiguity between this joint interpretation and simple like taba as here. And I think there's other one also taba as here and another one as fall. So do you think that there is tonal difference between here?
I think Padmavati, I'm sorry, but I think you can chat with Indra Kumar because time is running short and
yeah, it's fine.
We move on to the next speaker. So thank you, Padmavati Achom. And our next speaker is Nuveta Kuso from Nagaland University, and he's going to present on tense and aspect. Nuveta, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please share your screen, your PPT in the screen.
Yeah, sure. Can you see now?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yeah, please
Okay,
start.
thank you, Dr. Monali, and the organizers for giving me this privilege to present my paper. The topic which I'm going to present is tense and aspect in Chokri. Chokri, Tibeto-Burman language spoken in Pak district, southeastern part of Nagaland, northeast India. An ethno-linguistic term, Chokri stands for the subgroup of Chagasan and the language. Aspect markers. There are 8 aspect markers in Chokri, namely Jo, Yo, Ba, Ta, Z, S, Ta, and Va. The discussion of each of the markers is given below. Jo is the imperfect aspect marker and occurs only in relative clauses. Here, the example, Rase Zuyok Jo, Temao. Yo is the present habitual, que is nominalizer, and Jo is imperfect markers. And O, Temao, that is definite markers. It means the man who sells fruit. Yo is the present habitual or past habitual marker in which occurs in simple sentences as well as in relative clauses. An example is given below. Pue rase zuyo. Yo is present habitual, and it means he or she sells fruit, or he used to sell fruit. Ba, ta, z. These are the progressive markers, and they occur in simple sentences as well as in relative clauses. The following examples are illustrative. Pue lisi dape priba. Pue I is ergative, and ba is progressive marker here. And it means he or she is reading a book. Pue makreo hota. Ta is a progressive marker in Chokri. He or she is digging the grave. Another example is Pue z. Z is progressive marker again in Chokri. So it means he or she is sleeping. Z is sleeping. The progressive markers ta, which literally means to stand, does not occur with verb and I, to sleep. As while performing these activities, the subject is supposed to be in stand, being seated, or sleep respectively. The sentence below are illustrative. Lisida pre-kebao. Pre-kebao, ke is nominalizer, bao is progressive, and o is definite masculine. It means the person reading the book. The next example is makre hokatao. Ke is the nominalizer in Chokri, and tao is the progressive markers. O is definite masculine. Here, the person digging the grave. The meaning, the person digging the graves. S. S is the completion marker characterized by other benefactive, that is OB, occurring in simple sentences and relative clauses. S imparts different meanings. Sentences below are illustrative. Pue lisida pre-se. Pre is read and se is completion marker. Here we have another example. Okay, he or she reads the book that is for the benefit of others. So then another example is given here. Lisi dao prikusupe azupe. Lisi dao, the O is definite neutral and precursor K is nominalizer and S is completion marker again. And Per is feminine and there is agetic in Chokri, which means the woman who read the book that is for the benefit of others is my friend. S and Yi. In Chokri, there are two vectors, that is secondary verb, which characterize as self-benefactive and other benefactive. These are function as a model to express capability, meaning the following sentences are illustrative. I mitakri, I is nominative, and kri, yi is self-benefactive, which means I bought sweets. The second example, I mitakri se is other benefactive, which means I bought sweets for other people. That is other benefactive. Ta, the present perfect aspect marker in Chokri has two allomorph. Ta and te occurs in simple sentences and ta occurs in complex sentences. The following example illustrate the occurrence of te. Tumako zikuli vote. Te is present perfect, which means that people have gone to Zaku. The second example, Pue lisichali vota. Ta here is a narrative. Ta is the narrative. So, which means, and then he or she went to school. And the third example, which is a complex sentence, Zuku levoka takoe la vori molu. Ta here, ta is a complex sentence, so ta is present perfect, and ko is definite plural, and a is adjective in Chokri, and mo is negative. So it's written mistake, so it's a negative marker. So which means the people who have gone to Zuku haven't returned. Okay, there also I have, there's some mistake, typing mistake is there. Va is an imperative perfect aspect marker. So va, that means finish. So va, which means finish. Va, it requires a completion of an action which occurs prior to the continuing of the time referred. The action will have continuation or progression in the sentence. The simple declarative are illustrative. Pum hatho tsova chilivore. Tsova, which is he or she has done his works and went home. So va is imperative and te is past perfect. Ve is the completion marker which occurs in the sentences as well as in relative clauses. Ve can occur without the present perfect aspect marker te, ta. Ve is past perfective marker. Example, so ve, finish. The action is completely finished. Example is given below. Pu matho sove. So ve is completion marker. So it means he or she has done her or his work. Tense distribution. The distribution in tenses in Chokri is in terms of plus future and minus future. minus future is further divided into the past and the present. Here you can see it in the diagram. Tense, which is distributed into two, plus future and minus future, and minus future divided into past and present. The morphological realization of the non-future is zero morphine, and that of the future is to. The following examples are illustrative. Pue kresami pu. A is ergative and one, and it is non-future. So the next example is here we can see Pue hilivori. That is non-future. And then the next example is given. Pue hilivorito. Vorito is a future. To is a future here. So he or she will come here. Equational sentences. Pue kemetami pue. It means he or she is a teacher. Sentences with predicate adjectives. Yo he, zi. He is the emphatic marker. It means this is small. Okay, the sentences with adverb of time. Keba kenate. Kena is to and te is present perfect. It means it is 2 o'clock. Sentences expressing comparison. Kuhyo zveku. Ku is more, and so here ku is comparison. So this shawl is more beautiful than that one. So ku is the comparison word. The sentences expression age. Example, pue ze muchide. Ze muchide, muchi is 20 and te is present perfect. So he is 20 years old. Sentences expressing kinship relation. Sele azrap. Here, Sele is my elder sister. So elder sister here is given as a kinship relationship. Ba occurs as verb. Ba occurs as verb. Be only in sentence with locative verb. Like in many Tibeto-Burman language, the occurrence of a time adverb is sufficient to denote past tense. Examples are given below. Puendo hiliba. Ba here, ba in verb be, it shows she or he was here yesterday. It is possible not to have either the time adverb or r. When the verb is be minus be, that is verbs such as to read, to eat, to buy, etc. without an adverb, tense marker or time adverb, past tense interpretation is assigned to the sentence. The following example is illustrative. Pue chephoputi. He or she ate an apple. So that is the example. The marker r, which expresses regret and puzzlement of the speaker. It functions like a past tense marker. It can either co-occur with a time adverb, such as yesterday or last year, or it can simply occur with the verb of to denote past tense. The following sentences are illustrative. Pue njisa hilibar. R is a past tense. So the marker R is express the regret or puzzlement of the speaker. Punjisa and bar is a past, so he or she was here last year. When the verb is plus be, the occurrence of a time adverb or the past tense marker is obligatory, as the following example illustrates. Puendo hiliba. Ba here is plus be, verb be. So he or she was here yesterday. The next example is given. Pue hilibar. Pu is the third person. A is ergative here, and is past tense again. So he or she was here. The plus future can be classified into intention and minus intention. The following examples are illustrative. Plus intention. Pue vorito ba. To is a future completion. To or is a future completion.
Sir, you have 2 minutes left.
Okay, ba is progressive. So intention minus intention is pue vorito. Vorito is a future, so it means he or she will come. Conclusion: this paper is in no way of exhaustive and conclusive of the topic. It is at the most the beginning of a work in progress. This paper stems from my research on relative clauses in the language, wherein the tense and aspect marker plays a major role in formation and interpretation of relative clauses in Chagasan language group. These are my references. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuveta. It's a very interesting paper on tense and aspect in Chokri. And I think questions are coming from the audience. So Changte ma'am, yes, you can ask your question. I saw you unmuting yourself.
I was so confused with what you called ergative. Could you explain that to me? Because there's a lot of sentences where you had ergative, and some of them were, intransitive verbs. So I was just wondering if you had another definition for ergative.
Yeah, madam, thank you. Here, most of my works are with reference to Kevitsasa is June 2015. So this paper is a study on the tense and aspect in Chokri. So I think Ma'am Mimi can clarify the doubts here. If Ma'am Mimi is here, I request Mimi to clarify because she can put a better clarification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to clarify it, Changte?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So what is happening is that Chokri is it's identical to Tenidie, and what is happening with the ergative marker is that I think there is an over usage of the air marking, especially in the speech of the younger generation. So that is why you can easily drop it as well. So it has been put in the parentheses, if you have noticed that.
Yeah, but
so
but
it is
my point is
totally
with
dropped.
the verb is where you use air. The verb is not always transitive.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
So is it functioning as a focus marker or something else?
No. It is what is happening is that what I feel. I mean, from Tenidie, is that the speakers, they are there is an overlaying of the function of the air and the usage. Okay, so it is either totally dropped or it is used in all instances, whether it is an intransitive verb or a transitive verb, and whether it is whether the person or the number also,
Yeah.
So
okay.
I
get that
irregular
part.
nature of the air marking.
Yeah.
So it is indicative of a case system in transition, I feel.
Yeah.
And that the language is undergoing change and is moving either from an accusative to an ergative system, or from an ergative to an accusative system. And
yeah, so
so
because you know there's a mismatch of the verb. I was wondering if it's better to call it a subject, you know, rather than ergative. Because when you put ergative, then I really get confused because I thought maybe there was something else going on.
So it should
maybe
not be
not use the term
transitive.
ergative, but maybe just put subject, since we don't know, you know, if it's, you know, nominative or, you know, whatever it is.
No, the nominative is expressed by tone, as in Tenidie.
Yeah.
And the air does not occur with the first person and the second person at all, if you have noticed that. So the case system is as I said, I think it's undergoing change, and
so
hence
it's a marker of a non-first person subject, right? And that's actually not unusual either.
Yes, so it is in the third person that the air marker comes, and the proper nouns, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, my suggestion is maybe, you know, not use the term ergative, but find another terminology that might suit the data better. And, you know, since it's in flux, you might not want to tie yourself down to one term, but at least explain. But if you use the term ergative, then it has a special meaning, you know. So that was my point.
Yes, and the point is well taken.
Yeah, so if you just put subject,
and
like a non like a non first subject, you know, that might be more helpful. Yeah.
Yes. So the case system for Tenidie was based on Dixon's study on ergativity, and what he had said is that if the persons, you know, if the person have different case systems, then it is normally the case that the first person and the second person will be in the nominative and the other will be in the ergative.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, just basing on that, you know, and the why it is occurring with the transitive verbs is that probably because the younger generation, they are overusing the a and putting it with transitive verbs also, you know.
With the intransitive, like
yes. So thank you for the question.
So yeah, my suggestion is just maybe find a way to gloss it. Yeah. So
yes,
but it's very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chongki ma'am. That was a very interesting observation. Dhiren Singha sir, you can ask your question.
Yeah, nice presentation, Nobeta. Just I want to know that can tension aspect co-occur? This is one question, and I haven't seen this tension aspect can occur together in the data. Then second one is, you know, this ra. Ra is a constant marker, but without time and variables, can this ra express past? That is the question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Here, it is possible not to have either time adverb or the verb be, that is to read or to buy, as I mentioned earlier, which the speakers it takes time and adverb to past tense marker. So what can we say that it always make a puzzle to the speaker. He's not sure about the things, but something is done, but the things is coming again. So the marker which expresses regret and puzzlement of the speaker. So it functions like a past tense marker. So whether I don't know whether it's a satisfaction with you or for you or not, but that is what I found in the data. So this is not a final. So if I found some more data, then sure I will add some more these things. And anyway, I'll take your these things comments and as acknowledgement. Thank you, sir. So I've done. Still, I have to do so many things. So anyway, thank you so much, sir, for your comments.
Yeah, thank you, Dhiren sir. And this is a preliminary research, so I'm sure Nuveta will be looking more into it.
Yes.
And there is one comment from Madhumita ma'am. Some intransitive verbs like dancing, laugh, etc. in Assamese also take ergative case. So it is there, but it is not so prominent, but it is still there. So yeah, same thing. I just want to quickly, ask this thing you have given in your data for self-benefictive as ye. That sentence, I bought sweets, couldn't it be like I bought sweets for myself, and could ye be a verbal reflexive? I bought sweets, that example, if you quickly show that slide.
Okay. Yeah.
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 I feel like it's more reflexive.
Yeah. Here I've given 2 examples. So I eat mita kri. So which means I bought sweets. Mita is sweet. So kri yi is self-benefictive. That is,
yeah.
he bought sweet for his own, not for others.
Yes,
so,
yes, that is my.
Yeah, the second one is imita krisa. That is about sweets for other people, to give other people. So that is other benefictive. That is what I have given the example.
Yeah, semantically, of course, we can call it self-benefictive and other benefictive. But to me, ye looks like it is more of myself, like I'm buying it for myself, not for others. So it's like you are making a distinction between the self and others. And to me, ye looks like reflexive anyway. That is one thing that.
Can I butt in here?
Yes.
Ye is not the reflexive.
What is the reflexive marker, ma'am?
The reflexive marker is it's the k.
Okay.
Or atua. All right. And so there is the nominal reflexive, and there is no verbal reflexive. So this is not the nominal reflexive at all, and there is no verbal reflexive in the language.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to clarify is that sova, is it a serial verb? You mentioned it as finish, so I was thinking if it's a serial verb. Nuveta?
Yeah, yes.
You glossed it as done imperative.
Yes.
Sovas, the finish verb.
Yes. You are okay. I didn't get your point, ma'am. Can you please repeat the question?
The verb that you mentioned as finish, right? Sova.
Tsova. Okay, tsova. Here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here.
Not this one. The previous one.
Okay. Va. It is imperative because ve is the completion marker, but va in Chokri, the speaker didn't complete something, because after the speaker says something va, but behind that also something must come again. So this is imperative, a perfect aspect marker.
I think you mean imperfect and not imperative. Imperfect marker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Va can be imperative.
Thank you.
Because the globe doesn't show any imperative construction.
Yes.
So imperfective, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
imperfect marker. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Is there any more question, or shall we move to the next speaker? I mean, of course, we can continue the discussion in the chat box. Subrao sir has a question.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think that wa is what is the imperfective marker?
Sir, it's imperfect marker, it seems, yeah.
No, why can't it be conjunctive participle? Having done the work, he went home. Having done the work, he slept. So can wa come there?
So the person which he is doing something, but he didn't complete the work. So I have given example here. He has done his work, but he have to go home again. So from there we can in between, I think we can put some words, but even I'm a little bit confused about here, but I give some example here. So
Professor has a point here, because I also noticed you have vo as in for go past, and you have ve for come, and then you have this va after tso. So there's something to do with the the going here.
Nuveta?
Yes, sir.
The conjunctive participle in Indian languages performs many functions. One of them is to link the main clause and the subordinate clause like a conjunction. So what you have to see, like suppose is 10 o'clock, 10 minutes, 10 o'clock. Does wa come there? 10 minutes after 10 o'clock, 10 minutes to 10 o'clock, or 10 minutes after 10 o'clock, either way.
Yeah.
In Hindi, if you know Hindi, do you know some Hindi?
Yeah, a little bit, sir.
10 bajkar, ghar jaakar, you know, the kar, ghar jaake, khana khaake. So that why is a very powerful, what you call, the conjunctive participle is a very strong construction in Indian languages. If you're interested, you can look, there is a full chapter of 80 pages in my book.
Okay,
you can read that, you will know.
Okay, sir.
Some of the examples.
Maybe I can ask him in Tenidie.
Yeah.
Nuveta.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it like the Tenidie D? D?
Yeah, in between D.
Is it like the D in Tenidie?
Yeah, Sokri, it should be there. There should be there. That is why a little bit confusing.
No, but there's no there, right?
No there is here.
Okay, so it's not the conjunctive participle marker. The conjunctive participle will be the there. So this is something else. It appears to be something else.
So yeah, even me, I'm little bit confused about. Yeah, so conjunctive, there should be linked the two sentences here.
Yeah, I think you can look into it. There's so much of scope in your paper, and thank you so much, Nuveta. We need to rush because we have our last paper by Dr. Mimi Izung and Vikruzo Keho. So I request the co-presenters to kindly start your presentation by sharing the screen on reciprocity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Vikruzo, you can share your PPT screen.
Thank you, Dr. Monali, for giving this time. Is my screen visible?
Yes. Please proceed.
Then I'll proceed.
Yeah.
A very good evening to all those who are present here in this conference. To begin this talk, I, on behalf of both the presenter, would like to give thanks to the program coordinator for giving us this opportunity to present our paper in this conference. The topic which we are presenting today is reciprocals in Chokri, a case of VA-VO distinction. Organization of the paper. We have divided the paper into the following heads. That is introduction to the language, reciprocals in Chokri, description of VA-VO distinction, verbal reciprocal and monotransitive verbs in Chokri, verbal reciprocal and ditransitive verbs in Chokri, and conclusion. Here is a map of Peck district. Chokri is a Tibeto-Burman language under the Naga group spoken in Peck district of southern Nagaland. This has already been shared by our previous presenter, but I'll briefly highlight the status of the language as it is now. It belongs to the Chekesan groups of languages, which in turn belongs to the Tinyami group. Based on common ancestry and culture, the Tinyami group is comprised of the Zilingron group in Peran district, the Angami group in Dimapur district, Dimapur and Kohima district, the Rengma group in Kohima district, the Chekesan group, and Pochuri group in Peck district. All these groups are situated in the southern parts of Nagaland. The Tinyami group includes the Maupumai Maram group in Senapati and Tamenlong district in Manipur. Geographically, it is bordered by the Pochuri group to the east and Angami group to the west. The north is bordered by Zinyamboto, where Sumi, which we say Sumi, is spoken. To the south in Manipur, the Chekesan group consists of 3 languages, namely Chokri, Kuzale or Keja, and Pula. The Chokri area is represented here in this map, that is in the orange. The Keja area is in brown, and the Pula is in yellow. The Chokri data which we are using today is of Chozuba, Chiteba, Sekrizu, and Western Peck variety, and the Angami, that is the standard variety. Here is a classification of Tinyami group. The classification of the Tinyami group is in this given figure, as mentioned earlier, is based on common ancestry and culture. Apart from vocabulary similarity, research is being conducted to ascertain the linguistic affinity of this grouping, and this paper is a step toward that goal. So, reciprocals in Chokri. Chokri exhibits a nominal reciprocal as well as a verbal reciprocal. The nominal reciprocal is reduplicated the reduplicated form hu, meaning some. The verbal reciprocal is ke, which is prefixed to the verb. Sentence 1 and 2 are illustrative. Sentence 1 illustrates the nominal reciprocal hu. Note that the verb ngo, meaning so, which occurs with it, carries the extra high tone. In contrast, in sentence 2, we observe that when the verbal reciprocal ke occurs, the tone of the verb changes to the low tone ngo. Ngo, ngo. The ungrammaticality of sentence 3 illustrates that the nominal reciprocal and the verbal reciprocal cannot occur in a sentence. This co-occurrence of the nominal reciprocal and the verbal reciprocal will be discussed in the later part of the paper. The phenomenon of the tonal change in Chokri is akin to the VA-VO distinction found in Tinyede. Description of VA and VO verbs in Angami or Tinyede Kivichusa 2007. As found in Kivichusa 2007, VA-VO distinction is a phenomenon found in Tinyede where a set of monosyllabic, monotransitive verbs behave differently in terms of grammatical tone and morphosynthetic construct. The VA verb bears a high tone and it permits its object to be dropped. The semantics no. The VA verb bears a high tone and permits its object to be dropped, whereas the VA or VO verb bears a low tone and does not permit its object to be dropped. The semantics of the two types of verbs remain unchanged. To further the description of VA and VO verbs, one need to first discuss briefly the personal pronouns of the language. Personal pronoun of Tinyede, pronouns in Tinyede. In a table, note that it is only the third person that is homophonous for subject position and object positions. In the second person, the pronoun in the subject position is no, contrasting with in the object position. The first person is interesting as the tone which differentiates the subject position for the non-subject positions from the non-subject positions. In the sentence position, the pronoun carries a high tone, whereas in the other position, it carries a low tone. Here is an example of VA and VO. The sentences in this slide illustrate VA, VO distinction that is happening in Tinyede. If we look at sentence 6 and 7, the high tone that marks the subject and P, no, also marks the verb that is the VA verb. In sentences 4 and 5, the low tone that marks the object MP and marks the verb that is the VO verb. If we look at sentences 6B and 7B, we find that the occurrence of object NP with the verb with the VA verb is optional. The occurrence of the object NP with the VO verb is, however, obligatory and cannot be dropped, as the ungrammaticality of the sentence 4B and 5B is illustrative of that. But when we try, we try to locate the VA-VO distinction in Chokri by examining the sentence as found in Tinyede. Chokri does not exhibit this phenomenon. The example in the sentence 8 to 11 are illustrative of that. In the given example, the tone of the verb ngo remains unchanged no matter what person the object is. For instance, in sentence 8, the object is second person with a low tone, no, object, for instance, in sentence 8, the object in second person with a low tone, In sentence 9, the object is third person, pu, with a low tone, and in sentence 10, the object is the proper noun, John, and in 11, it is first person. The verb ngo with an extra high tone does not exhibit tone agreement with any of the objects, unlike Tinyede. Verbal reciprocal and monotransitive verbs in Chokri. However, coming back to the sentences that we have discussed earlier, where the reciprocal construction was introduced, the two sentences are reproduced here again as in example 12 and 13. As mentioned earlier, in sentence 12 illustrate the reduplicate nominal reciprocal hu. The verb ngo so, which occurs with it, carries the extra high tone. In contrast, in sentence 13, when the verbal reciprocal ku occurs, the tone of the verb changes to the low tone ngo. The ungrammaticality of sentence 14 illustrates that the nominal reciprocal and the verbal reciprocal cannot co-occur in sentence. So if we say hu kengo, it will become ungrammatical. The reason why the nominal reciprocal and the verbal reciprocal do not co-occur is attributive to the fact that verbal reciprocal function as a detransitivizer. So the same phenomenon is observed in Tinyede 2 Kevichusa 2007, and the detransitivizing effect of the verbal anaphor is also discussed in Subarao 2012, wherein he takes example from languages like Mizo, Mar, Khasi, Telugu, and examines the valency decreasing operation of the verbal anaphor. In this case, the verbal anaphor is the verbal reflexive. For a similar phenomenon, Subarao also cites the works of Habelsmith 1993, Kezenin 2001, Pinon 2001 for Russia and Polish, Dixon for tribal, Ari Tavali 2000 for Canada. Okay, coming back to the examples. The claim being made here is that the tonal difference we find in the verbal ngo meaning so in the presence of reciprocals, the in Chokri is similar to the VA-VO distinction found in Tinyede, unlike the earlier case. The nominal reciprocal occurs with the VA form ngo with the extra high tone, and the verbal reciprocal ke occurs with the VO form ngo with the low tone. But we need to remember here, what we need to remember here is that the nature of VO verb is that it does not permit its object to be dropped, and whereas the VA verb does. Given a choice between the two forms, the verbal reciprocal, due to its valency decreasing property, chooses the form that does not permit object drop. Hence, because the verb has been detransitivized, the nominal reciprocal taking the functional rule as object cannot occur as an instance of argument separation. Sentences 15 and 16 deserve a special mention out of the other example, as the tone of the predicate z, meaning with, changes from extra high tone to full rise contour tone in the presence of verbal reciprocal. That is from z to z. So similar to Tinyede, the verb that that patterns in a way are monotransitive and monosyllabic. Others examples are like to catch, pe to look, kr to left. In all these verbs, the regular tonal changes is observed, and that is formed with the extra high to low tone like the previous example. Verbal reciprocal and ditransitive verbs. Similar to Tinyede, ditransitive verbs in Chokri have a bipartite structure. The verbs in example 17, 18, and 12 are illustrative of that. The two parts are like the two parts are linked by an applicative light verb, which is suffixed to the verb to the first part, set one. Set one verbs occur only with the direct object, and the set two verbs occur only with the indirect object. A point to be noted here is that the underlying form of set one form of the ditransitive verb in monotransitive, and it is applicative, which increase the valency, allowing it to take an indirect object argument. It is similar to VA verb, as it permits object drop as given in sentence 19 and 20. The second part that is set two has been termed the dative verb. The indirect object occurs in between the two parts, and the direct object precedes the VA, giving the DOIO order as given in sentence 21. Sentences 22 and 23 illustrate the ditransitive construction where the set two or the dative verb occurs with the nominal reciprocal as well as with the verbal reciprocal ke. The reciprocal does not occur with the set one verbs. As in monotransitive verb, the verbal reciprocal marker ke and the nominal reciprocal uhu do not occur in the case of in the case 2 as the ungrammaticality of the sentence 24 illustrate. It's the same case with the previous example where it's having ungrammaticality. Similar to the VO verbs, the dative verb does not permit object, hence the explanation of the occurrence of the verbal reciprocal only, marker only with the VO given above the stance here too. So the question at hand is that here is like whether the VA-VO distinction was present in an earlier form and is disappearing in the language with a remnant of it being exhibited in the presence of reciprocity, or whether the language never had it and it developed through borrowing from Tinyede or Angami, which we call it. So this is an area for further research, and we welcome any discussion, comment, observation regarding this. This is the reference of our paper. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Monali.
Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation on reciprocals in Chokri Vikruzo. And I think participants can raise your hands or unmute and ask questions now. So there's a compliment from Professor Subbarao, very well presented with clarity. Are there any questions? We have we have time.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to Tenidie. So is there any point where you differ from Tenidie? Maybe you told it and I missed it? Because I remember Mimi's descriptions. Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, you are,
Yes.
sir.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes.
But I was wondering, is there at any point any distinction, or is it a kind of copy of Tenidie?
In Tinyede, they this, wait just 1 second. Here in example, here in this example, it shows the VA-VO distinction that is happening in Tinyede, where the object can be dropped by VO. So, but this case is not happening in Chokri. So if we drop the object, it becomes ungrammatical. At the same time, when Tinyede changes its tone from ngu to ngu to ngu, just 1 minute. Okay, so here in Tinyede, they can drop the object that is ngu. But in Chokri, if we say, we can say it ngo. But unlike Tinyede, if we drop angu, no angu, angu, it becomes ungrammatical. And there is, yeah, I think that's it. Maybe.
So maybe I would I can add something more to that, and say that the difference is that in Tenidie, even with or without the presence of a reciprocal, we find the VA-VO distinction. But in Chokri, it is only when the verbal reciprocal is there, then this tonal distinction is found.
Okay. Okay.
So I think that is the only difference. And of course, the difference in tone is that in Chokri, we find the extra high tone, which is changing to the low tone, whereas in Tenidie, it is the high tone which changes to the low tone. But in Chokri, there is one example where the extra high tone, it changes to the fall rise tone in the presence of the of the verbal reciprocal. And this is when the predicate with occurs.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, I have a
can I come
question,
in?
Manali. This is not regarding.
Yes.
Sorry, my font is very low on the slides. Very low. I have to see almost, like this. Is it my problem or is it everybody's problem? The font is very low of the
Sir,
slides.
which?
Your problem, sir. Our side is fine, fully fine.
So my problem. So you have to come and solve it.
I'm in Delhi, it's fine.
No, that's why you have to come and help solve it. No, I'll figure it out.
Yes, sir. There is a
Okay, I
question.
have a question
Okay.
just for the benefit of myself. Okay, this distinction, VA, VO distinction, okay, I'm not, I don't have much knowledge. This is the area of Professor Subarao and Mimi. So in VA, verbs are characterized by high tone and object dropping, whereas VO verbs are characterized by low tone and no object dropping. So in the case of VA, if the object is dropped, so how do we recover the object in a reciprocal type of construction? Mimi, does my question make sense? No, let me come back again.
Yes.
So in a VA construction, VA constructions are characterized by high tone on the verb. Okay.
Yes.
And it also is accompanied by object dropping.
No. VA,
am I wrong?
VA does not permit object dropping.
Oh,
It's only
VA
the
doesn't-
VO. No. VA does. So that is why.
Okay. Let me rephrase it again. So VO,
Yes.
VO allows dropping of a tone, right? Dropping of object.
Yes.
And the tone is low, right?
Yes.
So how do one recovers the object if the object is dropped? Is my question. Does it make sense? So if I said they saw each other, so each other will be the object, right? And
yes,
each
but
other
the
will
thing
be
is
dropped.
that
It allows dropping. So if it allows dropping, then how do we recover the object which is being dropped?
by putting the VA form of the verb, because the VA form, it occurs with the nominal reciprocal. Who.
So it is recoverable from who from the nominal.
Yes, by the verb. So if you change the verb, then the verbal, the nominal reciprocal will occur. That is the object. But when the verbal reciprocal occurs, then it cannot occur with the VA form, that is the extra high tone or the high tone intermediate. And because the verbal reciprocal, it detransitivizes, and so out of the choice between the two types of verbs, now VA, it permits its object to be dropped, whereas VO, it does not permit its object to be dropped. So given a choice between the two, the verbal reciprocal, because it is a detransitivizer, it goes and chooses the VO form because it does not permit its object to be dropped, and it detransitivizes. That is why the nominal reciprocal who cannot occur. Did I make sense or no? I don't know.
Yeah, very much. It explains.
Okay, thank you.
And there was a question
regarding the
by
question
Kiran
at the
Sinha.
end, which we had raised. It will be very nice if somebody could comment on the questions that were raised at the end, on whether and how do we figure out whether this was present in an earlier form, and it is disappearing, or is it that the language never had it and it is developed through borrowing from Tenidie? That is one question that we are dealing with right now.
So do you mean to say that the VAVO distinction is only found in Tenide, in Angami, and not elsewhere in the region. Is that the case?
It is found in Tenide, and now suddenly we have found that it is there in Chokri also, and in the presence of the verbal reciprocal, or in the presence of the reciprocals, you know.
Because language contact in that area, because
Yes.
Naga maintains their distinct, though they are geographically very close neighbors. Linguistically, they are very preserving in the sense the language don't really mix up to the extent of other languages. If it is mixed up, the mixing will be from Indo-Aryan languages. So I don't know. Is it my guess? Perhaps these are two independent developments.
So whether this VO distinction was present in an earlier form, but it is disappearing in Chokri, or whether the language never had the feature and it developed through borrowing, you know, from the media. So
that is what I say. If it is a borrowed, if the second hypothesis, if we assume the second hypothesis, then it was never there in the language before, and it crept into, or it cropped into the language because of borrowing from the Tenidi, from Tenidi and Gami.
Yes.
So that is the, so how is the language contact phenomena between Tenidi, Angami, and Chokri?
It's very similar. It's extremely similar, as you can see from the earlier paper presented on tense and aspect also. Yeah,
then
it's
there is
almost
a livelihood,
identical. Yeah.
There is every livelihood that it must have come from.
So that is why it falls into the Tenime group, you know.
Could be. Thank you. But this is not an absolute assumption. So Professor Subarao may like to add. I don't know.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, there are questions in the chat box, and Dhiren Singha asked if there is a verbal reciprocal clitic in Chokri. I replied as there is one with the key. So if you can just show that example to Dhiren Singha, then I think it will be clear to him. Oh yeah, ka. Yeah, this is ka, not ki.
It's ka, not ki.
Yeah. With a low tone, right?
Yes. Low.
And okay. And there is a question from Thangi Changte ma'am. Is NR, rather nominal reflexive or reciprocal, a word translated as each other? NR.
Yes, it is the nominal reciprocal, which is each other. Yeah.
Okay. We have just 1 minute if anybody has any question.
Gargi has a question. Yeah, there is no verbal reflexive in Chokri.
Okay, thank you. So it's only the nominal reflexive.
Yes, the nominal reciprocal and the verbal reciprocal. And we have the nominal reflexive, but no verbal reflexive.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, if there are no more questions, then we can close the session here. Thank you once again, Dr. Mimi ma'am and Vic Rizzo, for your wonderful presentation on Chokri. It has given us a new, perspective to look at the Naga languages with such new findings. And to all the other presenters also, because it has been very excellent and this session was very heavy and very productive. So thank you once again. And I'd like to request Bijen to take it over and give vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Monali, for chairing the session very smoothly. And all the paper presenters, there were 5 papers on different aspects of syntax. So thank you very much, all the paper presenters, for your research that you're bringing up in this conference. Thank you very much. And the participants who were actively engaged during the discussion and giving valuable inputs and your experience, thank you very much for your suggestions and your comments also. So with this note, we have come to the end of at the end of the day 2. So we will meet tomorrow again at 9:30. So tomorrow 9:30, we have languages of Northeast as the first session. And tomorrow also we have another plenary talk from Professor K.V. Subarao. The timing is at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So all are looking, we look forward all the participants to be there in all the sessions also. So with this note, I close today's session. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you once again to all, and good night. See you tomorrow.
Night.
See you.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.